Game day.
Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. We're with JP, Caleb, Quentin, and Justin. What's up, guys?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
What a game.
Finally.
What a great way to cap off Sunday football.
Yes, sir.
That was straight up stress.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I really wasn't stressed.
I'm
I'll be honest with you. I had a feeling they would score, and what cemented that for me is whenever they called a holding on Derwin James, and then they just kind of figured it out from there. And then I would say I was a little bit nervous, but the defense, what really solidified it for me is whenever Chris Jones got that sack. And it just showed me, yeah, they're not letting up. This is not going to be what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, you leave Mahomes a minute and 46 seconds and a few timeouts, and you know what's going to happen, especially with Kelsey on the field. And another touchdown game for Kelsey.
Yep.
I don't know what his yards were, but they were kind of insane.
Over 100.
Yeah.
You had me convinced wearing the jersey during the game is bad luck, but I had to put it on for the podcast after the 3 touchdowns. We had to. We had to.
I don't wear nothing. I seriously, I don't wear.
Well,
anything.
I don't need to know that.
I mean, I wear a regular T-shirt, no hat, no Chiefs gear. I leave it all in a different room. I don't want that. My wife convinced me that it was bad luck, and every time I've worn it, we've lost.
Yeah.
So I just quit wearing it.
Well, I had to throw it on after the game. Show off 3 touchdowns. I had to put it on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. So, honestly, we had no Juju. We had no Mecole. We had no Tony for the majority of the game. And we still won with everybody else. I mean, it just solidifies how good this team is, how amazing this team is, because we just played a tough football team. And they always play us tough, period, end of story. We beat them in their house. We beat them in our house. We're still leading the AFC, and we can't ask for much more. The Bills squeaked one out against the Browns today, and there for a while I thought they actually were going to lose that game. But hey, it is what it is. As long as we continue on this roll, we're in good shape. I think we just played probably the toughest game we've got in a while. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is going to be probably one of the toughest games moving forward for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that any given Sunday, there's some truth to that. So the Chiefs cannot just slack out for the remaining of the year. But for all intents and purposes, the AFC West is won by the Chiefs. They have a 4-game lead now against the Chargers. The Raiders and Broncos today looked like a pile of garbage that was burning and being shoved down a street. So, the Raiders won, which helps my prediction with the Broncos finishing last season. But
I still think the Raiders are going to beat them.
But we see that.
Sorry, at this point.
Once again, we see that Patrick Mahomes. It does Patrick Mahomes thing. When the ball's in his hands, I am in inner peace because I know that more times than not, the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the rest of the offense are going to go down the field, make the right decision, score the touchdown, and the Chiefs are going to pull the win. So the stars have to line up just right for Kansas City to lose in those situations. And I believe in Mahomes whenever those things happen. In the post-game interview on the field, and Travis Kelce said it best when he said, Mahomes' magic does it again. And I couldn't have said it better myself, and that's what I tweeted out, that It's 100% true.
Nick Wright is on a tear right now. I love this guy. Probably my favorite national analyst you'll ever meet. The guy has been basically predicting this entire game all night long, and he's done a great job of it. I mean, he hasn't stopped all night. He cracks me up. I mean, he's firing on all cylinders, and he doesn't care if he makes other people feel bad. He says never seen anything like him in the history of the NFL, and that's not against that's not against some awful division. That's been against Rivers, Herbert, Carr, and the clown Carr. The Broncos have a QB. Oh my God, he doesn't quit. Patrick Mahomes, road division games. Win 27-24. Now this is Nick Wright putting all this out. This is 2017. Win 27-24 at Denver. 2018, 38-28 against the Chargers. 27-23 Denver. 40-33 at Oakland. 19. 28-10 against Oakland. 30-6 against Denver. 24-17 against LA. He just goes on and on.
This is dominance. I'm looking at it too. It's just complete dominance.
It's insane.
He has not lost a road game, and that's just great to see because literally, I think Mahomes deserves to win MVP this year. He's playing lights out. I don't think you can take it away from him at all. He's playing lights out. No other quarterback has done what he's been doing.
No. And especially with what he's got out there. I mean,
yeah.
And I don't like Chris Collinsworth. He just annoys me. Always has.
Yep.
But I got to say, the one thing he did say tonight was, how do you do this with 5 rookies on defense and then a bunch of rookies on offense and first-year starters with the Chiefs? How do you do this? And then backups. The only thing I'm going to ask everybody here is why, oh why, and I've asked a couple people, why oh why was Wiley back out there again? Because he was the reason why Mahomes got pressured as much as he did. It's very frustrating. That chain was so tight, 2 semis couldn't have broke it last week. This week, it just broke. And then they mended it. Then it broke. Then they mended it. He is terrible. I'm sorry.
I think honestly, Wiley's just he has that spot. No one's gonna take it away from him. That's what it looks like. It looks like they're not gonna go away from him. We'll see what Prince can do possibly, but he has a spot. It looks like.
Terrible.
That's what it looks like to me personally.
Yep. I mean, I shot you a couple texts about it during the game, JP. It was awful. There were a couple points where Noah Gray was out there and he was blocking better than Wiley was.
Yeah.
I'm like, if our backup tight end's a better lineman than he is, I mean, we got to address that because honestly, if we have him to tackle, let's do it because it seemed like
that was
right. Working better.
We worried about the depth chart mindset with Spags, and now it seems like it's Andy, and it's like, come on, man. I mean, you know who you got out there. You know who can play. Put him out there. Mahomes doesn't need to take them hit. He doesn't need to take the hits. He doesn't need to take the pressures.
There were a couple scary ones too, especially early on. So.
Yeah, especially early. Yeah. I don't know. And then I don't think he's had a game yet without a penalty. Wiley anyway.
Normally a stupid penalty at that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know. But by the way, everybody, Kalo's been sick for about a week. He has had no throat whatsoever.
Yes. Thank you, Quentin. I appreciate you phoning in for me. Thank you, my friend. Justin, thank you for your help this week, too. I really appreciate you guys. And JP, first and foremost, thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. It sucks not having a voice.
Yeah. I know how you feel. I've had that happen once.
You have 1,000 thoughts in your head and you can't even say anything.
Can't
it's
say
very frustrating.
And it's really hard to scream at a TV when you got no voice. Nobody can hear it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Even the TV can't hear it. So,
but I do appreciate all you guys. I'm not doing. I almost did that when the Chiefs lost to the Colts back in 2013, and I didn't do it because my parents would have been mad at me. But I almost did it. I seriously thought about it because I was so mad in that game. But hey, the Chiefs are better. We're 9 years later. We're in a good spot. So I can't wait to see what the Chiefs can do.
Hey, speaking of the Colts, really quick. You know what? I didn't expect this Jeff Saturday thing to work out, but they're playing really well.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but they did lose today, but they put on a hell of a show, and I think they got something here. I mean, I think they're buying into this Jeff Saturday idea of letting the other coaches basically call the plays and he just motivates. Because right now all
Right.
he is a motivator. It's not
Right.
like he's
More
got
of
this
a
giant playbook. So
Yep. I was gonna say he's more of a traditional head coach now, letting
yeah,
both the coordinators do what they want, and he's kind of just the face of everything, taking the heat and taking the glory. So
yeah,
I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job at it, and I've been rooting for him, to be honest.
yeah.
So
At least he's getting it done. I don't know.
yep.
But getting to this game, I gotta say, Darwin James gave Kelsey fits the entire game, and Kelsey still came out on top.
Oh no, you can't stop the greatest tight end
Yeah.
ever do it.
And I don't want to hear. And I don't want to hear no more. Who kills Bird and Kelsey? I don't want to hear it. I don't
Yep.
want to hear it.
Go
Yeah, I'm
post
getting
that
tired
cute
of
little.
that.
I don't want
Go
to hear
post that
anything
cute little
about.
body slam.
I don't want to hear anything
video,
about
but
Mark Andrews or Kittle or Darren Waller. None of these guys.
Hmm. Exactly.
It
Exactly.
is Travis Kelsey and then a jumble of guys. It's like
Mhm.
Aaron Donald and the rest of the guys. It truly is. There is a separation between the best guy and the rest of the crew, and that is where Travis Kelsey is. He is on an
Thank
island
you.
by himself. He is the best, and there truly is nobody like him in the league. That
Mhm.
that second touchdown that he caught, where he started to shimmy up the sideline, and he totally was breaking ankles on a safety, and then was able to move up the line and score a touchdown. I don't think any
Mhm.
other guy in the league can make that play, and I am confident in saying that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I've been saying this. He's got this wiggle that nobody else has, and man,
Nope.
he does. And I think he's up to now 11 touchdowns on the season,
Yep. 11.
which is like I think tied with the most touchdowns by a wide receiver.
No, he. I think he has the most in the league now.
Yep. I think he owns it.
He does.
Yeah,
thought
it
somebody
was
else had 12
Adams.
now, but-
Adams had a 10.
Yep.
Oh, it was Adams. I thought somebody else had
Him and
maybe more,
Diggs. Diggs was all they're all
Diggs.
jumbled up together,
but- yeah,
and then
Mm.
3 touchdowns today. I mean, you can go post that cute little body slam video from a couple weeks ago, but
Mhm.
ball doesn't lie.
yeah.
Mm,
They won
exactly.
those
That,
games,
he
and
pulled
Kelsey
that
on the
little
last
Dion move, in the end zone there, which I like.
Mhm.
That was great. But
That was nice.
yeah. Without everybody, they still played well. They still scored. They still got the ball. Hey, by the way, for everybody that's slamming Bunker, he didn't miss a PAT. He didn't miss anything today.
I know our friend Jared is very happy he did not miss a PAT.
Yeah. So everything was right up the middle. So
Yep.
I don't know. Hats off to that team right now because they fought hard to win that game.
Right.
And they pulled it off. I mean, so
What impressed me the most too was, I mean, aside of Kelsey, really everyone else was rookies on offense doing the work. I mean,
Mhm.
Pacheco really just put the team on his back, and I mean, great game. And then you had Sky Moore in there making some
Mhm.
catches when they needed him, and he was really stepping up big. So, I mean,
Mhm.
props to those guys too, because I mean, Sky Moore especially, because we haven't seen much from him so far, but he really, I mean, defining game tonight. So it was awesome to see.
Mhm.
well, all I know is that I'm excited for the rest of the season. I mean, when I think I said it in the group chat that I found out that Tony wasn't coming back, and then it came out on Twitter afterwards. But
Is the injury bad or are they just holding him out?
It was a hamstring, and
It's
now
not bad, but it's
that
enough.
does kind of worry me because that was the
Mm.
injury that had been nagging him earlier in his
Mm.
So you never know until later on.
Mm.
You know that the hamstrings are one of those things that you could be fine in a couple of days or it could linger. So
Mm.
Well, what I was told early on is that it wasn't horrible.
yeah,
Um,
but it's one of those things
but
where
they don't
you got to
know yet,
sleep
so.
on it and figure out
Mm.
later on how it's going.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
so
think
give it a
he'll be
day or
all right.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah, give it a day or two. We'll see what happens.
yeah, I think he'll
Interesting.
be all right.
I think we should get into our offensive defensive player MVPs because I think there's a lot of specific performances we should talk about.
Okay.
Why don't Justin? Why don't you go first? Let's start with offense. Who do you have as your offensive MVP?
I mean, offense, I think you got to go Kelsey there. There's a lot of guys that stepped up. I think you could argue Pacheco, the way he was playing so dominant. And obviously, Mahomes is always a top of the MVP. But I think Kelsey overall, he was able to get it done despite Derwin James kind of nagging him throughout the game. And
Mhm.
I think he was the one that put the team on his back the most with a lack of receivers, too, tonight. So, yeah, we'll go Kelsey there.
What do you think, Caleb?
I'm going to say Pacheco. We finally have a 100-yard one runner. And I hate to say this, but Clyde has officially lost his job.
Yep.
Pacheco's a running back, RB1 moving forward.
Yeah, he got hurt too again.
Yeah.
No shocker. But,
This just kind of submitted it. He's RB1 moving forward.
yeah, definitely.
So.
I mean, I'm telling you, they're going to have to replace some turf. The guy runs so hard, he was ripping turf off the ground.
Yep.
And that stuff's new. That's not old.
He runs angry. Yep.
Man, he runs angry. I don't know. Honestly, I would have to give it to Kelsey just because. Look, he just fought somebody that really gave everybody fits that he went up against all in the entire game, and he still managed to do what he did. He never gave up. He never backed down. He just continued to fight and scored 3 touchdowns. And he's the reason why we won this game. I mean, that fumble on McKinnon, which is rare, and everybody's.
Those are going to happen.
I see people in another group chat pull him, cut him, sit him, bench him. No, that's not what you do. But he did a hell of a job fighting through all of that, and I give it to Kelsey on the offensive side of the ball. Let's go. What do you got, Quentin?
So I love all that. I love all those picks. I think you could really make an argument for all. I really like the Pacheco pick is important because JP and I had the Pacheco going for over 100 yards before the game started. That was whether it or not. The Kelsey pick, anytime a guy goes for under 100 yards and gets 3 touchdowns, what a great game. And Mahomes will probably always have a chance to win Offensive Player of the Game on this team.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to give mine to Sky Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think that Sky Moore came out and he showed this is why he was drafted. You saw the kind of routes he was running. He was running down the sideline. He was getting stuff short over the middle within 5 yards. He had that beautiful gliding catch where the ball was thrown at his feet and he was able to get down and he was able to just scoop it right in. I mean, it was just right into his breadbasket on the ground and he was able to get that. And that, I believe that was on 3rd down. So, Sky Moore to me, what a great game by him. 5 receptions, 63 yards. I mean, he nearly doubled his reception in this game alone. So I got to give mine to Sky Moore because I mean, what a great rookie performance on a guy that we hadn't seen much production from him at all. And I mean, he had 6 targets and 5 catches. So not only was he productive, but he was reliable all game long. And
that's fair.
Because you were missing some of your starters, and Sky Moore was one of the many guys that stood up. So I think he deserves a lot of recognition for today.
And not to mention the fact that he had 7 receptions the entire season. He had 5 tonight.
Yeah, he nearly doubled it, and he went 63 yards. And I think going into the game, he didn't even have 100. Overall, so the guy really stepped up. Like I said, I think all 4 of these guys could have easily gotten it, and I think it's totally reasonable to say any of those guys could have gotten it. But Sky Moore really was able to track the ball and did just a great job. And I think this is the kind of production that when he was drafted, and the kind of production that I thought he would be able to have coming into the year. So.
Yeah. Yep. Well, he played a hell of a game.
He really did.
So, Quentin, if you want to start with defense and snake back around, we can do that.
My defensive player of the game, I like to go for some guys that deserve some recognition that maybe other people aren't going to go with. I want to give mine to Mike Dana because not only did he have 2 sacks, but this is a guy that's been sort of a rotational piece for the Chiefs throughout the year. Not a guy that's on the field every single down, and with his limited time on the field today, he was able to get significant pressure and was able to get into the backfield all day. I mean, you were seeing Mike Dana's name in the backfield it feels like every time he was in there playing today. So Mike Dana comes up and comes up big today. There was a lot of times the Chiefs needed to get all of those sacks they got today because they were kind of getting torn apart with some of those shots on 3rd and long. So to be able to Mike Dana to be able to come in and make a difference with his limited snaps, I'm gonna give mine to Mike Dana.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's cool. That's a good idea. Who's
I like
next?
it. JP, you got it.
Look, man, I got to go Nick Bolton. I mean, Nick Bolton was everywhere. Everywhere. He just doesn't stop. The guy's got a motor that just never quits. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Mm-hmm.
I just never seen anybody like him.
Yeah, I mean, look at that last play there. That hustle play getting
that was
out of nowhere.
So
I mean,
I didn't expect him to get that.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was even close to the ball, and then he just dove
He
out
wasn't.
of nowhere. He's like that little mouse on Tom and Jerry that just pops up out of nowhere, you know? That was Nick Bolton, and I'm like, where the hell did he come from? But he did it, man. I mean, Nick was just he solidified that defense, and I gotta say, I almost took Willie Gay because Willie Gay played very good tonight, and they put him in the right positions. But I gotta give it to Nick.
Yeah, what a beautiful middle linebacker blitz by Willie Gay.
Oh, man.
Yes, he leveled him.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it was kind of set up for him, but in the same aspect, he's so fast that he got in there so quick. Justin had no idea that was coming.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Herbert's going to be having nightmares about that one for a while.
To be productive, guys still got to go out there and make a play.
Yeah.
So, what a great job. I 100% agree with you, Nick Bolton. He led the team in tackles again. I'm telling you, man, and I'm going to keep saying this probably every week as long as that guy's wearing Chiefs red. I think he has a chance to be the best middle linebacker that Kansas City's ever had, and there's a good chance that he's going to end his career with the most tackles in Chiefs history. 100%. What a great catch by a middle linebacker. A middle linebacker makes there are corners that can't catch that ball in this league.
Exactly.
What a great
Preacher
catch.
Quentin.
And he was flying all over the field. He plays the perfect. If there are any young kids that want to play middle linebacker out there, watch the way Nick Bolton plays. Because the way he's able to move down the line and is able to watch the ball carrier and able to shoot gaps to go in and hit a running back or to stop some of those, short little passes. Nick Bolton is a great player, and what a guy to pick up in the second round. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Caleb?
My defensive player, I'm giving to Chris Jones 2 more sacks. I think he should be defensive player of the year the way he's been playing. He's not being overshadowed by Aaron Donald and what he's been doing week in, week out. Getting great run stuffs at the line of scrimmage and also being great in the pass rush game, getting sacks. I have to give it to him because I know I've said a lot of things about him the last couple of years. He hasn't stepped up, but I'll say this. He has really, really, really stepped to his own. I think he deserves to win that defensive player of the year with 2 more sacks on the night as well. So that's who my defensive player of the year is because he just been continuing week in, week out, doing what he needs to do to help his team win.
I think it's up to 9.5 now on the year. 9.5 sacks.
Well, he's going to get over 10 at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And I think here in Kansas City, we're spoiled with how well Chris Jones has played here in his career. Defensive tackles are not supposed to play this good. Defensive tackle is not no, I'm serious. Defensive tackle is not the position where you're expecting to get sacks from. There are teams that, they're lucky if at the end of the year their defensive tackle ends the year with 2 or 3 sacks. And we're getting multiple games with Chris Jones getting that kind of production. Chris Jones, he is getting doubled. We even saw a few times he was getting triple teamed. The center and both guards were attempting to block Chris Jones, and he is still able to get his hands up in the air to try and bat passes down. Chris Jones is amazing, and we should not forget that. Caleb, I'm 100% on board with Chris Jones being talked about as a defensive player of the year because his production level and his ability to cause havoc is so important on this defense, and that helps the other players to come out and be productive. Like he helped today, which you can tell because you have Chris Jones being double teamed while the defensive tackle standing next to him, is able to move upfield and get pressure. So I 100% agree with you. Chris Jones deserves more talking on the national level, and he needs to get talked about a serious defensive player of the year candidate.
And also an extension. Who you got, Justin?
I like the linebackers, both of them, but I really got to give Chris Jones here too. I think, when you talk about MVP, most valuable player, put it on the defense. if he's getting double or triple teamed every time and creating opportunities for everyone else, that makes him the most valuable in my opinion. Because not only with the effectiveness he's having himself, but he's just creating opportunities for all these guys around him, I think, and that's huge, and that's really his main drawing point, in my opinion.
I agree. I think the one thing that Chris Jones has made it very clear that he is not going to allow anyone to downplay what he's done and what his position is, and he's made that very clear this year. And that's just on the field. It's not by talk. He hasn't talked a bunch of crap or anything of that nature. He's just out there playing very hard, and I think I don't know, man. He's learned some more techniques that he didn't. It's like he evolves. I don't know how to explain it, but he's evolving. At 28 years old, he's playing better now than he did at 26. And
yep, that's true.
It's kind of amazing to see. I mean, usually guys slow down, but look at Carlos Dunlap. I mean, this guy is, every time he's on the field, he creates havoc. Period, end of story. He's either batting a ball down, he's in the middle of somebody's face, he's somewhere all the time to make sure that he's helping the rest of the defensive line get back there. Herbert felt a lot today.
Yeah.
There was one hit that he took that when he got up, you could tell that it got to his ribs a little bit. Sherry, Cheryl, I'm glad you do, because Chris Jones should be Defensive Player of the Year without fail. He's on fire, and I don't think he's going to slow down at all. Now, let's talk about the standings right now, because things changed a little bit after Buffalo won, and then it went back again after we won. So, by the way, I have to bring this up really quick. Tyreek Hill had made some statements that he would like to go and play in Minnesota.
He did?
Yes.
Yep.
When did he say this? I didn't see that. When did he say this?
He said it to a reporter that asked him some questions, and he said he would like to play in Minnesota. He grew up as a Minnesota Vikings fan, and he would like to join forces in Minnesota. He thinks he could be a great asset. So,
while he's on the Dolphins, he said this.
Yeah, well, I mean,
well, that's interesting.
Yeah, who knows if he'll stay? I think what he's seeing right now is that division that he's in is extremely competitive.
Yep.
And regardless of where he goes, this entire AFC is competitive. But if he gets out of the AFC and he becomes that star guy in the NFC that they really don't have right now in the NFC, there's your answer.
Yep.
But I think that's what he's kind of looking at from his standpoint, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was pretty strange at this point during the season that all of a sudden he just decided he wanted to go play in Minnesota. So we'll just have to see how that plays out at the end of the year.
I think the Chiefs ruining the Dolphins season in the playoffs might be kind of a fear.
That might do it in, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. That's actually probably the best point yet. Because I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the way the seeding and stuff's looking like too, there's a pretty good chance that that's a matchup happening too. So.
Without fail, yeah. I mean, who knows? That division right now is very strange. You got Belichick that pulled one off today. You got the Jets lost. The Bills barely won against a really bad football team.
Yep.
And Josh Allen does not look the same, period.
No.
Keenan, what's his name, their wide receiver?
Stephon Diggs. He had a fit on the sidelines. He was not happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, he wasn't happy because he didn't get a target pretty much the entire first half. So after he had his little conversation with McDermott, he ended up getting a touchdown. But regardless, that team is showing signs of dysfunction. And when that happens, especially towards the latter part of the year, for most teams, it usually ends up being a collapse. I don't know how they'll end up taking this, but right now, Allen's not playing the best. Nobody on that team is really playing up to par. They had a few penalties today. Von Miller had a penalty that I was really surprised with because he very rarely gets penalized. But he had offsides a couple of times during that game. I think he even had a holding call. So I don't know, man. This is a weird division right now. The AFC is just, right now, it's just ours for the taking. Period, no matter how you look at it. We continue on this trajectory. It's going to be difficult for anybody to catch up with this.
I mean, they only have one more division game, I think. Do they have just? I think the Chiefs have one. Or let me check the schedule.
We face the Broncos twice, and then we face the Raiders in the last week of the season.
So they're in a good spot. They're in a good spot moving forward.
And like I said, opening our conversation up, this last game, we now have a 4-game advantage on the Chargers because we swept them. We have the tiebreaker, and I mean, we really think that the Broncos and the Raiders are going to even compete for this division. They'll be lucky if they end the season and people don't think that they're really that bad. I mean, truly, that at this point, the Broncos and the Raiders are playing for pride.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Raiders will be lucky to beat our JV week 18 or whatever now, in my opinion. But
this game isn't all sunshines and rainbows. I do have some complaints or some problems. Don't get it wrong. I'm happy we won. Divisional games are always tough, especially against the Chargers. You know, it is by far the second best team in this division. Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, and they've got a lot of talent on that roster despite their.
Hey, look, I'm going to say this. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback.
He's a good quarterback.
I mean, he's very good. He's actually, in my opinion, he's probably in the top 3 to 4. Yeah. Because what he's dealt with this year, losing both of his wide receivers, plus other injuries that they've had.
He probably shouldn't be on the field
backups
anyway.
To their some of their linemen. You know, they got backups on top of backups right now because they're losing people left and right. Mike Williams went out again today. He was very limited in the game. They had him on a pitch count.
And Keenan Allen was already on a pitch count, too.
Yeah, and then they put Mike Allen was too, and then or Mike Williams, and they basically took him out of the game because of his ankle. So I look at him and I see glimpses of the mindset that Mahomes has. Yeah, and I say that because he fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hurt this year too for most of the year. So,
he's still feeling it. You know, the ribs don't go away in a couple weeks.
No, they take a while.
I mean, I've broken mine 3 times, and believe me, there's times still to this day that when I breathe in, I can feel it. And that last time I broke them was a year ago. Over a year ago now. And I shattered them, of course, and I got a bone sticking in my lung a little bit, or a shard, but there's just no pain like it. I've had a lot of broken bones, but ribs hurt, man. You can't breathe, you can't talk, you can't eat, you can't cough. I don't know how he's gone out there and played the way he's played with the injuries that he's had and not gotten discouraged with all the injuries on the team. But he's still out there doing it. Yeah. So, I don't think Staley's going to be there next year. That's just my opinion.
I mean, he didn't gamble this time and still lost, so, I mean...
He probably shouldn't have been there this year, but no. I don't think he'll be there next year.
No, he won't be. I mean, I figured they would give him an extra year just to see what he could do because, you know, he came close last year.
Right.
But I just don't see it. I mean, the Broncos, they're a dumpster fire. The Raiders are a dumpster fire. But, you know, you got Russell Wilson that's supposed to be, you know, hold on. You got Russell Wilson, and then you've got, you know, supposed to be this god, and then you've got Derek Carr, which throws for a lot of yards and then cries. His name should be Derek Cry. And then you got Mahomes and Herbert. So no matter how you look at it, you got 2 great quarterbacks in the same division. Russell Wilson stepped into the wrong division thinking he was going to outplay either one of those guys. It's not.
Yep.
It's that simple. I don't know how that's going to play out for him. I got a strange feeling he might retire fairly early.
Yep.
You think so?
I do. I do think so.
I
Look, man,
it.
he's getting embarrassed.
Yeah.
He's getting absolutely embarrassed. No matter, I mean, look, he barely beat the Raiders. You know,
The Raiders beat the Broncos today.
Well, that's why. Well, didn't they beat him the first time though? Or they played twice?
I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then today the Raiders beat them. So it's like, I don't know, man. I can't see it. I just can't see him staying very. I don't see him riding out that contract. I just don't.
Right.
But
And he was kind of. I mean, personally, I don't think he was great as like position wise. He wasn't right up there in the top 3 quarterbacks. But I mean, he had a successful career. I mean, he had been to the Super Bowl. I mean, people thought pretty highly of him, and I think he's quickly ruining the image of his career.
Well, his career, I think, is a lot. If you think about it, though, Justin, his career was a lot like who am I thinking of? Somebody that lived off their defense and their running back. There was another quarterback that.
Trent Dilfer. Well, that's kind of harsh. That's a little. That's harsh. Yeah, my bad. That's a little harsh. Yeah.
Although, hey man, it's getting close with these numbers that Wilson's putting up. It's getting kind of close. But there's another quarterback that did the same thing. That was all hype, but lived off of his defense. And if you look at how Seattle played when he did go to that Super Bowl, they had a top defense and one of the best running backs in football that's ever played the game. So. I mean, look, man, he had DK Metcalf and Lockett. And he couldn't do anything with either one of those guys.
Right.
But yet, you got a guy that steps in that's a 6-year career backup that's blowing him out of the water. And they didn't know they were special. So, tweet from OBJ, 15
The Raiders did sweep the Broncos this year.
What's that?
The Raiders swept the Broncos this year.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
They beat them twice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go then.
Let's ride.
OBJ put out a tweet, 15-87, too smooth.
Yeah.
Well,
hey,
look,
if he wants to win, just come to Kansas City. I'm just saying.
I feel like he is anyway, but especially with the situation we're in, he's going to be here.
I really do think today was a great example of who's going to be, the next guy to step up in the wide receiver room. And I was not impressed with MVS today. I think he performed. I think today was his chance to show why he was brought in here to Kansas City, to be able to step up and push off the top of the defense, and he did not do that. I feel like he has sort of underperformed all year, but I think you were able to sort of push that to the back of your mind because every week he was going to be a new guy, and he had that 100-yard game against the 49ers. Today he had 4 targets, 1 reception, and 18 yards. And one of those targets he should have caught, at least off the top of my head. I can't remember the other 2, but he had one that he totally dropped. And this isn't the first time he's had some drops. MVS he really underperformed today, and this is not. He's been disappointing, and I think today really elevated that because he was supposed to be the guy on center stage today in that wide receiver room, and he didn't.
Well, everybody has to remember too. He was brought in for a specific reason.
Yep.
For a specific role. He wasn't brought in to be that guy that fills his shoes when somebody else gets injured or whatever the case may be. And plus, he didn't practice a lot this week, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because of what his role's supposed to be, and he's playing that role. He's not the guy that's going to step up every time. He's the guy that if you get somebody that, if he's one-on-one with somebody and he's breaks away, he's that deep threat.
Yep.
And I think today he may have had a little bit of an off day, but I think he's better than what he showed today. He's proven it in the past. It's not a matter of him not playing up to his potential. He's playing up to his potential of what he was brought in for, I should say. Yep. You got too many other guys on that team that are here for, other roles. And his role is to block. If you get open, get downfield, and hopefully we can throw you a deep ball.
I see Quentin's point because there were a couple passes that was like he should have caught him. I think it's still going to be a little more time that we see he can do, but I think when it comes to the playoffs, I think it will help. I think it's just going to kind of go back and forth.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
think. And
hoping
look,
it can
this
be
is a
figured
team
out.
and look how many people we throw the ball to, man. I mean, it's not
Yep.
like we have one specific guy we throw the ball to.
I mean,
Even
Fortson,
when,
Watson, Sky
yeah,
Moore. I mean, the ball
everybody,
was spread around everywhere today.
everywhere.
So,
I mean,
Mhm.
it should. That's just Mahomes said it at the beginning of the season, and he's living up to everything that he said. You're not going to see, with the exception of Travis Kelsey, you're not going to see one guy be the main target. You're going to see 8 guys be targets, and
Yep.
9 guys, maybe 10. And he has thrown to 10 people this season. He averages 6 to 7 different players every game, and it's
Yep.
usually higher. So I think these guys have all bought into the system that this is what they're supposed to be doing, and they're enjoying the ride because look, man, if you don't have to go out there and put yourself in a position to get hurt every single play, and you don't have that pressure and those, that monkey on your shoulder saying, "Hey, you got to be the guy," it's a lot easier to go out there and win and be productive when you're called up to be productive. And I think that's where a lot of people, they assume that one guy's supposed to step for another. There's multiple guys that are stepping up for others, and they're all doing a great job of it. I mean, we had Jody Fortson had a hell of a play today.
yeah, he had 2 big plays.
Dude,
Yep.
I mean, look, man, I think he should be. Look, I understand why they pull him back. I fully understand it now, after especially talking to a couple of guys. They're just holding him out for the playoffs. They're holding him out for the end of the season and the playoffs. When they need him the most, they're going to put him in the game
Right.
because
And those
he's unstoppable.
big
When he
plays
gets the
early,
ball in his hands, he's unstoppable.
Mhm.
So
early, you throw him in the game, and he just draws attention right away. I mean,
right away,
that big catch from the start, and then next time he's in the game, you're looking at him, and it's
Yeah.
drawing the defense over. So
and he blocks
And then,
so well.
yes thing real quick. I'll play the devil's advocate. I would also agree with you, JP, that I don't think he was really brought in to be the number one guy. I think that's why he was paired up with Juju. I think Juju is the number one guy as far as that's concerned, and I think in Green Bay he was never really the main guy there. He's
No.
kind of line him up in the slot. I mean, we know he's had a couple problems with drops before,
Mhm.
but he's just a deep threat type of guy that can torch defense if the right matchup's there. And I think that's exactly what Kansas City expects from him. I mean,
Yeah, he runs great
I mean,
routes and he's fast. So
Well, I would say this.
I'll agree.
Go ahead,
I'll
what were you
agree that it was
saying?
a down game today. But I mean, it was
Mhm.
poor performance. But like you were saying, he's injured. I don't think that that's the role that Kansas City intended for him from the start. So
And I will say this: I think having him is more better than having like a Pringle or a Demarcus Robinson because he's more consistent.
yeah,
I
Right.
mean, yeah, there can be drops, but I know he's going to be able to catch the balls when need be. I mean, last week he had that phenomenal catch against the Jaguars at home against Arrowhead. So I think, yeah, there's going to be some good and some bad, but I think ultimately it's going to work out for the Chiefs. So I'm not worried there. I see both sides of the argument.
I just think that, we always have that phrase "next man up," and I just expected more out of MVS in this game because you were brought in, you're the veteran. Maybe not. You're the older guy in the room. Yeah, he didn't practice today or earlier in the week because he had an illness, but it's not like this is your first week in this locker room. Maybe you didn't have um, you didn't practice, but you're still able to get inside of the room and know what it's going to be. You know the plays, and then on top of that, he should be able to get more open, more consistently than he is. I just
Mhm.
like that he has a role in this offense, which is to break open the top, but he needs to be more consistent in this offense for what he was brought in for. To have one catch on 4 targets for 18 yards, I don't think is enough production. Especially what we've seen throughout the year. We know what he's capable of, like what happened in the 49ers game. So
Mhm.
I was just expecting him to produce more in this game because he was going to be, outside of Travis Kelsey, he was going to be that next level skill set inside of that room. So I just think that, today was not a good day for MVS, especially when a guy like Sky Moore was able to step up like he did, or like Watson was able to step up. I mean, he had 3 receptions for 67 yards. So I just think that we should expect MVS to have more production, and we shouldn't just sit here and say that, well, he was brought in for this one role, so it's okay. I think that we should expect more from MVS,
Well,
especially.
and we don't know if he's still sick. We don't know if he's 100% yet. I mean, honestly, I don't put I guess after he was only targeted 4 times. He made a good catch. A lot of times he was out there running blocks,
Right.
and
He's a really good blocker.
really good blocker. And I think that plays a big part in what their game plan was today.
And I don't think I think he's the type of guy where he plays better with better guys on the field. So with the injuries, I don't actually expect him to have a great game because I think he's better when Juju runs a curl and he's right down the middle because the defense draws down.
Mhm.
Whenever it's just him and Kelsey essentially as the two vets in the room, I mean, you have the safety over the top of him consistently and take away his deep threat, and that's his selling point. So I mean, I think he's one of those guys that actually play better with other guys on the field. So
yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what was to be expected. I mean, it was an off game to say, but I mean, nothing to worry about, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. I think once we get healthy again, Juju will be back next week. Hopefully Tony will be back next week.
Yep.
And I think maybe he pulled it a little bit from what I kind of understood today. And they were doing it for safety reasons. They weren't 100% because, of course, they don't have all, everything right there to be able to check. But I think he'll, from what I understood, I think he's going to come back out of this and be okay. Tony's a beast. He plays hard. I am extremely impressed with Pacheco. He's one of the best running backs in the league right now.
I'm pretty starstruck by Pacheco. I'm going to be honest right now. I've been loving watching him do all this. It's been crazy
I'm telling
to see.
you, when Caleb and I were I almost called it spring training. When Caleb and I were at training camp, and we saw Pacheco, and he was eye popping at training camp.
Yep.
I mean, you can't say that we expected this, but personally, I don't think Caleb and I. I'll speak for Caleb on Caleb's behalf. I wouldn't say we're surprised by what we're seeing because we saw it in training camp what he was able to do there. So the guy's been able to. He's been like that all year long, and I think that we need to give some credit to Eric Bieniemy here too, because even though the run wasn't really hitting early, they stuck with it, and we saw Bieniemy on the sideline calling plays, and they didn't abandon the run when it wasn't working early in the game. When we knew that in order to win this game, you were going to have to lean on the run because of the injuries. And also the Chargers' run defense just isn't that good. So I think we need to give some credit to Eric Bieniemy just because they were able to say, no, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to win the game. And they were able to do it. Pacheco averaged like 6 yards a carry today.
We did that last week too.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty good
with it.
Yep. It's been super cool for me to watch Pacheco grow up like this.
Sometimes we get frustrated with the fact that they'll abandon the run when in the first quarter, they've gotten a total of 25 yards. But, we know that the running game, you kind of have to stick with it because we know that you're going to get some of those bigger carries later in the game.
Well, the one thing you can say is they haven't had a running back like him since Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
So they kind of had a reason to abandon it to a degree, but now they don't, and they're kind of solidifying that they're not really abandoning the run anymore because they don't have to. You know what I noticed about him that cracks me up? When usually a running back when he gets hit, he's down, he gets up, walks back to the line of scrimmage. This man is up and running like it's the end of the game. He is back in the huddle within about 2 seconds. He stomps into the huddle. Give me the ball, you mother! I mean, he's ready to go, man. He doesn't jack around.
That's exactly how a rookie running back takes a starting role.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, even Clyde, he doesn't. Clyde gets hit, falls down, gets up slow, walks to the huddle slow. Pacheco gets up, walks forward 2 feet, and runs back to the huddle. I love it.
I was kind of saying this, Quentin, you know this too, and I said this at the beginning of the season. When we're looking at this, Pacheco is going to get the starting job. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. When will it happen? Which week? Because when we looked at it, Pacheco is just the better overall running back. Everything from what we saw at training camp to now, just seeing what he's been doing, it's not surprising to me at all.
No.
The best running backs are always able to fall forward because you're always you're always able to get an extra 2-3 yards on each run, and that's what Pacheco's able to do. He's able to keep his legs moving, and he's always able to fall forward. And
You
those
know,
2 yards extra carry makes such a big difference because when it's 3rd and 4 and you run the ball and you get stuffed, but you're able to fall forward, that's the difference between having to punt and possibly getting a first down or getting a 4th and inches.
yeah.
And that's what we're seeing out of Pacheco. But I
Well,
just
that
think
and the
that
fact that he
the,
runs like Barry Sanders.
we just need to
Yeah.
give credit to Eric Bieniemy today because this show has been critical about him. So I just think that we need to give credit where credit's due.
I mean, maybe I don't know if he was calling his plays or if he was calling Andy's plays and Andy was telling him what to do because that's usually the rotation. Andy calls it through the headset and Bieniemy just does what he has to do. But Justin popped off, but he'll be back on. Hey, if he was calling the plays, kudos. I don't know if he was calling his own or if he was just listening to Andy through the headset. I really don't know. But either way, it worked out well. And I'm going to say this. Look, let's see. Philip said Pacheco got out of the backfield with a sense of urgency tonight. He did. Yeah. He's always keeping his legs moving. You're right, Philip. He's like a puppy having a dream, laying on his side and his legs are still going. I mean, he just doesn't quit. The guy, he's like an animal, man. But Matt Nagy has made such a difference in this offense. I don't think people give him enough credit. He should honestly probably be assistant head coach of the year because he has made a transformation in this offense. And I don't think people realize how much of a transformation you make given the fact that we have so many rookies, so many first-year starters. And then the difference between the way Mahomes is playing now versus the way he played last year, he's just made a huge difference. They get along so well, and everybody loves Nagy. He talks to them in a manner that they understand. He has respect for everybody, and they have respect for him. Plus, he comes up with some crazy plays that him and Andy scheme up together. I think Nagy has made a huge impact on this team.
I would say it's a collection of Nagy, but even everyone.
Yeah.
Whatever they've been able to do has been very, very beneficial to this team. The offense is not like last year.
I think the fact that we lost Kafka to the Giants, but because Nagy was able to come back within the same time frame, I think that the Chiefs didn't sort of have to take a step back in the coaching room because you were still able to have familiar guys around you. So I think that really helps because you lose your quarterback coach to the Giants, who becomes their offensive coordinator, but you have somebody that was here when you were here your rookie year. So to have somebody in the room that still knows you and still knows the playbook and your language, so you didn't have to try and promote within and get a guy that may not be comfortable with that, or try and get somebody from out of your organization and who also is trying to learn but teach you at the same time. I think that's really valuable.
I'd like to see Nagy get bumped up to offensive coordinator after this year, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, he will. Yeah, he'll be. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the season, his title is not indicative of what his actual role is, and he's proven that. They keep a lot of that stuff, quiet for other reasons, but he's done a lot more than people even know.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was so in love with Mahomes and the way he played prior to him leaving here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just working out really well. I mean, look where we're sitting. I mean.
Right.
It's a collective thing, and I think, also Philip brought up a good point too, is that I don't think people gave Jalen Watson or Justin Watson enough credit. He's done a really good job. He's really when he's on the field, he's out there blocking. If he gets open, he makes a great catch. He's just done a good job all the way around. I think he's another part of this that he's a piece in he's a cog in that wheel that just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. And eventually what you're going to see is that everybody's just going to be, this clock is going to be a grandfather clock just that never ends. It's going to be Big Ben. And it just continually circles. And that's what I think we're starting to notice. I mean, people go down, we got people that step in. Was it pretty? Not right off the bat. but who cares?
I mean, there's going to be mistakes that happen during games. I mean, they just got to figure out and they did.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it. I mean, if
And
they can
obviously,
fix,
go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Obviously, we're going back to Nagy real quick. Obviously, we hope Andy Reid stays in Kansas City forever, but I mean, it's inevitable. We're gonna have to find someone in the future, and I think he's a long-term answer maybe to the future head coach after Reid retires. I think Nagy can come in and become the next guy, but that's kind of
I
long-term, obviously. But I can definitely see it.
I agree. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think he's going to stick with Kansas City.
Why would you?
Well, I think he already knows that he's in line for the throne.
Yeah,
And look,
I think
man,
it's
if Andy
his job to
retires,
lose.
yeah, if Andy retires, where do you think that playbook's going to go?
Right.
He's not going to take it home with him.
Nope.
He got no reason to.
And he's probably not going to give it to Bieniemy because Bieniemy
He's
will throw
definitely
it
not going
away.
to give it to Bieniemy. So Bieniemy won't be there, but Andy's. I don't think Andy's going anywhere for a while. As much as everybody assumed that he was going to 2-3 years maybe, he's going to ride his contract out. Look, Belichick is 70 years old. He's still out there coaching. Pete Carroll's 71, still out there coaching. I know Andy's had his health issues, but he's got them straightened out, and I'll just say his knees at this point because I'm not going to get into the other things, but he's got it under control. He's doing what he needs to be doing, and I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he wants to ride this thing out. I think he really wants to ride it out with Mahomes.
Right.
He's got a good thing going. I mean, he's going to end up going down as probably the best coach that's ever coached. And you're talking about guys like Bill Walsh and even Belichick and all these guys that have done great things in the league. But Andy's just a different cat, man.
Yep.
I mean, talk about having respect. And there's nobody that does not respect Andy Reid.
He's the most respected guy across the league, no matter who you put it as the best coach. He's
without fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So in the chat, if you think there's a player that we should talk about, that put their name in there and talk about what we missed. One of the last things that I want to mention is I want to talk about sort of generally the defensive backfield today. They played really, really well in terms of being able to rally to the football and to be able to make open field tackles. There were a lot of plays that could have been much worse than they were.
Yeah.
But the corners were able to, and the safeties were able to make a lot of open field tackles. L'Jarius Sneed, Brian Cook, and Justin Reed, all of their tackles were solo tackles. And they were able to stop plays before they really broke out into, yards after catch. So this defensive backfield was able to, even when the ball was caught, they were able to keep those plays from becoming, those 80-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
They were able to step up, and even when they weren't able to block the ball, or when a ball was just put in a position where the defender has legitimately no chance of making, they were able to stop them from being broken out into huge touchdown runs. And, early in the game, the Chiefs offense, they were moving down the field but couldn't punch it in. That's the difference between winning and losing, because you're keeping your offense in the game and preventing the Chargers from scoring really fast or to get those, 70-yard touchdowns. And we know how effective that is to really drive home how to win a game, because that's what the Chiefs did in 2018, 2019. That's how the Chiefs were able to rack up points quickly, is they were, it was like, 75-yard touchdown. We had the ball for a minute and we were able to score on you. And then the opposing offense would come out and they would stall, and then the Chiefs would they would have another 2-minute drive. And then all of a sudden you're down by 14, and then your offense just continues to stall out. Being able to make those solo tackles with your corners and your safeties is a really important part of the game that the Chiefs were able to make today and prevent those long touchdown passes or runs from happening. So I think that this defensive backfield, especially Brian Cook, when Juan Thornhill went out with an injury.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think this game screamed backfield with super high promise. Because, I mean, with the young guys like that, you're going to have mistakes, especially against, like we were saying, top 5 quarterback. I mean, Keenan Allen, he was hurt, but great receiver. I mean, great offense. But you're going to have mistakes. You're going to give up passes. That's just the NFL today. But they all did a good job rallying to the football, making plays, and just hustling around. And I think that's exactly what you want to see out of a super young inexperienced group.
I agree. I think Veach did a great job drafting guys like Brian Cook, hard hitting safety, knew what he was doing, and he helped with the forced fumble on Keenan Allen. So they just got to keep doing what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody forgets that we have, what, 5 rookies back there,
Yeah.
collectively, and 2 first-year starters. I mean, really the only secondary guy that's, a veteran on our team, per se, is Snead. And everybody else is just, they're new.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all out there rallying to the ball, doing what they have to do. Yeah, Watson gave up a long pass against arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game. And that's going to happen. You can't expect it not to from a first-year starter. But he also, everybody remembers, he had a 99-yard return for a pick six against that same team. So I don't know, man. I'm super excited moving forward with all these guys. Next year is just going to be insane with that defense. That secondary is going to be insane. And we've had people ask about Chris Jones and his contract. Look, man, as far as I've heard, they want to extend him and keep him here.
I hope so, man.
Huh?
I said I hope so.
Yeah. Everybody I've talked to has said the same thing, that they're trying to extend him and keep him here, and he doesn't want to leave. So I wouldn't worry so much about Chris Jones. In fact, just for everybody out there, I wouldn't worry about anybody's contract at this point.
No.
That's the one thing that everybody always freaks out about, is somebody's contract. Are we going to extend him? We're going to keep him. What about this? What about that? This guy's gone. Look, man, we're in the middle of one season. Let's worry about this season and then move forward after that. Because it's worrying and talking about it's not going to do you any good right now.
Yep.
But from what I understand, they want to extend him and keep him here, and I think they will. I think Frank Clark is coming back next year.
Yeah,
they're going to restructure his contract. So.
I was going to mention Frank Clark real quick. Quentin mentioned guys we hadn't really talked about yet, and I wanted to give a shout out to him because coming off the suspension, I think he did a good job of always being football. No matter where the play was, what was happening, he was always there. He was always causing some kind of ruckus, and I think he did a great job. I mean, he was always in Herbert's face, no matter what.
Yeah.
We saw that a lot on that last play. Even he was right there, forcing Herbert to kind of throw it up all janky-like and on the interception. So I think he did a good job coming back and then still making an impact after missing a couple of games.
Agreed.
So hats off to him too.
Agreed, 100%. I mean, Frank allows other people to get sacks.
Yep.
Frank allows other people to get in the backfield. And he doesn't allow a lot of people to run his direction. So that shows you how much he really impacts the game. He may not have, 20 sacks like everybody thinks he or assumes he should have, but he's doing things that cause other people to have sacks and disrupts the game, disrupts the offense, and that's what you're there for.
Right. Team player, and he just hustles around, and that's what we're talking about with Pacheco and these young defensive backs and stuff. And it's something you want to see them continue to keep in their game as they continue to gain experience. And some guys don't, and some guys, the great ones do. And Frank Clark's one of the few guys that keeps that hustle and that grit, no matter how much experience and how much he's accomplished and stuff. So, I mean, I think he's a great leader for all these guys that are young and hustling around, and hopefully they'll just take after him and continue to be great like this.
Yeah, and don't be surprised if Carlos Dunlap doesn't come back next year either. I'm just saying. So, I think he feels like he's got a home.
Yeah.
So, and just like Tony. Tony said he's not felt like he's had a home since he's been in the league, and he does now. So.
Nothing like Chiefs Kingdom.
No, I mean that is a. That's one thing I can say about this team that most people can't. Pretty much nobody can say, is that this is really, truly, I mean, it could be a brand new guy, it could be a guy that never nobody even knows, and they embrace him. The team embraces him, the players, the culture is phenomenal. And I think that just shows on the field. So, but with that being said, what else we got?
I think my last point here is that this truly was a team win. The Chiefs didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of a lot of Chargers mistakes. This really was a Chiefs win. The Chargers didn't beat themselves. The Chiefs only got one win, or the Chiefs only got one first down penalty. So everything that the Chiefs were able to do was because the Chiefs did it. There wasn't a lot of ticky-tacky stuff that the Chiefs were able to take advantage from. This was the Chiefs making plays and beating the Chargers. The Chargers didn't beat themselves.
Agreed.
Preach it.
Yep. Real quick before we end the show, I gotta share something. We're talking about Pacheco. At the preseason game, I think it was the third one. I was already thinking pretty highly of Pacheco. I was expecting a lot of things out of him, and I got to meet him after the game,
I
took a
remember
picture
that.
with him and everything. And I sent a picture to my dad. He's not a Chiefs fan; he's a 49ers fan. But I was like, got to meet Isaiah Pacheco, the rookie, and he was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "You'll see soon." And
Yeah.
watched the game with him today, and I was like, "Hey, remember a few weeks back when I told you you'd be hearing his name a lot soon?" So here you go. So it was
That's
Yeah, I remember
awesome.
that. Yeah,
a good
I
get in the
remember when you
moment.
took that picture. You texted it to me, and I thought that's cool. You got him and I think Justin Reed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yep, you guys just." I was like, I told him just to wait, and sure enough, it finally fulfilling the prophecy. So it's great
Yeah.
to
I'll say
see.
this: my dad and I go back and forth every week. Who's the better running back, Pacheco versus Clyde? I think I've won this argument, and
True.
he may listen to this and get mad at me, but I say this: Pacheco's a better running back. I'm sorry, Dad.
He
You
is.
might have locked it in tonight. I
Yeah.
think it's
Don't
there.
apologize for being right, Caleb, because if
Hey, I've been saying
you
this
had a
for
pick
so
on the
long,
side,
and I want Clyde to do well, but it's just not coming out. It's not.
No.
Right.
He just, Clyde's just kind of like I said. I think he would fit in some other system. He just doesn't fit in ours, and he just won't. I mean, I don't think he'll ever fit within our system. He knows it too. He tried to play pretty. He tried to come out today when he did get in the game before he got injured. He
Yep.
tried to come out and run hard,
Hmm.
but it just doesn't equate to what Pacheco can do.
Right.
And
I
his
think.
legs are monsters. Got a monster leg on him.
Yeah. I think once Clyde finds another home, I think he's gonna come in with something to prove, and he's gonna have a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. I think he'll
Yeah,
play pretty well with the next team he's with.
agreed, agreed.
But
Yeah.
But I wouldn't leave OBJ out of the talk. Still, he's still in it. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear something in the next week.
yep.
yeah, especially if this McCole Hardman injury, lingers for the
Yep.
rest of the year.
Exactly.
Bingo.
And I don't know if it's not going to. I mean,
Well,
it
they
kind of
won't even
sounds like.
say what it is.
Well, I kind of know what it is, but I'm not going to get too deep into it. They don't want to know. They
Touche.
don't want anybody to really get into it. What I've been told to say is that he's got a pulled hamstring. I mean, a pulled
An
abdominal.
an abdominal strain.
Yeah. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm not going to go any further with it because if they don't want anybody to know, I'm not going to tell anybody. So, but that's what I was told, and that's why he was put on IR. And it is what it is. I mean, it's next man up mentality, and they've got that extra cash now to be able to go ahead and do what they need to do, and I think it's going to be coming pretty soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear something in the next week. If he doesn't, for some reason, sign with us, don't get mad at me, but I feel like he's going to, and
He better just hurry up and sign somewhere. I'm sick of
Oh, we know
sick
it's
of
you,
the
not the
anxiety from it.
one.
Yeah. What was that, Caleb?
I said we know it's not you. It's someone else who put some stuff out long ago. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just the talk's been going and it's never really stopped. And there's some things I heard that I've never brought up and I'm still not going to bring up. I think I've told you guys, but hey, man, I mean, I'm not going to be mad if he signs here. I think he could contribute. I think he would actually be a big contribution, especially right now. So the more wide receivers we have, the more depth we have. We don't, we were a little thin at wide receiver today, but we still stepped up and we still won
Right.
the game. So I think we're gonna, God forbid you got another one that goes down or somebody gets hurt. You got to have that. You got to have that depth, and you need somebody that's got veteran experience who can step in and do what Tony did and be able to step in a week or two and make a huge difference. So
Yep.
I don't think Tony's going to be out for a very long time. I'm hoping not. At least that's what I heard, unless things change. But right now, it didn't seem like it was too big of a deal. We'll just have to see how it moves or plays out moving forward. But let's bring this up really quick. The Bills are playing in 4 days. They're playing on Thanksgiving, so they got a short week. Playing in Detroit again, against Detroit. I don't know what anybody thinks about Detroit's team. I think their defense is halfway decent, but their offense is. I mean, look who they got. What do you think is going to happen in that game?
I'm going to be honest. Dan Campbell, he's got a scrappy team up there that, I mean, they've been playing hot, great football, but they've got some momentum, and that's in football, that's bigger than anything. A lot of times, just
Yeah,
mindset.
I
And
agree.
he's got this team coached up and feeling confident after 3 wins in a row, I think it was. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least gave Buffalo a run for their money. They didn't look great today against Cleveland. So I think if Detroit can just come out and hit him in the mouth early, I could actually see an upset.
Yep, yep. Anybody else got a thought on that game?
Yeah.
The Bills are not going to lose to Detroit. That's not happening. No. And I live in Missouri, which means I can't bet. You know, and I'm not going to Kansas because, well, you really couldn't pay me enough money to go to Kansas. So, yeah, that's not happening. And it's like Dallas isn't going to come out and do what they did to the Vikings, to the Giants. You know, these teams, there's an equilibrium in the NFL. There's no superpower, especially in the NFC. So that stuff just doesn't happen.
I'm gonna pick the Bills, saying that the Lions will win. I'm going to go with that logic this week.
Well, I will say this: the Bills barely beat a decrepit Cleveland team that is actually worse than Detroit in a lot of ways. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills lose that game. I just wouldn't be. They're beat up pretty bad. Got a lot of injuries. They had a couple more today, and
I think they're slowly starting to self-implode, honestly.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and I think that's good. It's pretty obvious that they are. And think about this: they haven't had a second half touchdown other than today. They had one. I think it was one thrown touchdown, passing touchdown, but they haven't had one since the Chiefs game until today. That's a huge gap to not have a second half touchdown.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I mean, they did play a pretty bad football team today. They've got a couple of decent defensive players, but they don't have anybody great. You know, I mean, they're struggling in so many areas that 2 or 3 are not going to help. So yeah, you got Myles Garrett and guys like that and Clowney, but you don't have anybody else that's going to kind of match that group.
Right.
You got, you know, like what we've talked about with the Chiefs in the past. You can't expect 2 guys to do it all. So I don't know, man.
Yep. I think it'll be low
be
scoring and a close game, and it'll be
Yeah.
kind of a slow pace, just knocking each other out back and forth. But I don't know. Obviously, the Bills are favorites here, but I could definitely see Detroit slipping one by.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, Nick Wright said it best. You know, he said you would see exactly who the Bills are in the second half of the season, and Mahomes is the better quarterback by far. Nick is just the biggest homer when it comes to being a Chiefs fan.
It's easy to do now.
It is, but he's always right. That's what's funny is that he predicted like what the Patriots are going to do this year, and he's right. They're probably going to end up being a 10-7 team, and he's actually predicted what he went. If you look at his tweets, he went tweet by tweet and predicted what was going to happen in this game today, and he was right. So, and then he was a little bit spunky there at the end. I mean, I thought it was kind of comical, man. I mean, I'm trying to be nice about it, you know, but he was a little spunky. You know, I mean, I don't know. I love the guy. I can't wait to get him on the show because he kills me. He cracks me up. The guy just he's the biggest Chiefs
down with
fan.
him sometime. Yeah,
oh man, he's the biggest Chiefs fan.
Yep.
You don't usually see that too much out of national guys, but he's a huge Chiefs fan. So, and he doesn't waver from that. A lot of guys will waver. You know, we've seen that with like guys on Good Morning Football and things of that nature. They waver back and forth. He never wavers.
Yeah.
So, when he called, what he said about Russell Wilson today was, I mean, that was just, I want to pee my pants moment. That was funny.
Yeah.
He just comes up with them. He's so quick.
We need him. We need him in the media to keep representing Chiefs Kingdom because we haven't had someone like this in a long time.
Yeah, agreed. We don't have anybody else. I mean, there's really nobody else that roots for us in the national media besides him.
Yeah.
So everybody else is like, oh, well, we're sick of hearing about Mahomes. We're sick of hearing about Kelsey. You know, kind of like how we got it a lot quicker than the New England Patriots did. I'm not either. But, you know, the Patriots went like, what, the entire time that Brady was there, and nobody could stop talking about him and how great he was, and
Right.
you didn't hear any national media guys come out and say, "God, I'm sick of hearing about Brady and Gronk," but you hear it 4 or 5 years into Mahomes' career, you hear national media guys say, "Oh, I'm tired of hearing about them guys."
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But with that being said, I don't think we got much more.
No.
Everybody played well except for Wiley again, and I don't know why he was out there.
Yep.
But maybe they'll make that transition and move him back to where he belongs. Warming up that bench when it's cold in Kansas City. But honestly, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'd rather have Cam Irving, and he stepped on Mahomes' bad ankle not once but twice. So he's not doing well. He's allowed more sacks than anybody on our offensive line. Allowed more pressures than anybody on our offensive line.
They near combined the other four.
Combined, yeah. So he makes other people look bad. And parting words, they did say that Creed Humphrey is the absolute best center in football right now.
I heard that, and I wholeheartedly agreed, and it felt good to hear someone else say that. I was like, thank you, guys.
Creed is good.
He is good, man. I mean, he gets a penalty here and there, but look, man, there's veterans out there that get more penalties than he does. So,
I'm excited to have him there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and Trey Smith is one of those unsung heroes you never really hear a whole lot about, but he's one of those
knock a dude on their back.
I don't know, Nick. What did he say? Andy Reid said something in the post game. Let me say that before, because we're not able to watch it and do the show at the same time. But
old Trey Smith, he got himself quite the highlight reel today in that pass blocking. Yep.
Yeah. He's an animal, that's for sure. Let's see. That was a pretty good one. Where did he say that? Andy said something about, I can't find it now, but Andy said something about what was going on. Said something about the fans, but I'm not really sure what it was. Oh, Andy Reid with sage advice for Chiefs fans and football fans on watching Mahomes and Kelsey. We're a part of it, and that's the fun part. You'd like to see it last forever, but these guys grow old, and you know it's not. These guys grow old, and you know it's not going to last forever. So what I do is try to enjoy every minute of it, every play. And he's right.
Bingo.
They do grow older. Kelsey's not showing any signs of slowing down. I don't think that's what he means by any stretch of the imagination, because he proved tonight that he's not slowing down at all. He's playing at the highest level of any tight end in football, by far. So,
in one game against the Chargers and one against the Raiders combined, he had 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's top 10 in the NFL, I'm pretty sure, right now.
Yeah. That's
2
pretty
games
insane.
against the AFC West. So.
Yeah. And to have a tight end that's leading the league in so many areas that wide receivers should be.
He's 33 years old. Come on now.
33 years old, man. And he plays like he's 25. I'm pretty excited for the next few years. He's on contract. I think he's got 4 more years on his contract after this one, and he ain't going anywhere. So
nope.
He'll retire a Chief, and he's a Hall of Fame tight end.
Yep.
Without fail.
Easily. First ballot
Hall of Fame. Yeah. So, with that being said, great win tonight. Glad everybody, got I was a little stressed out there, for a while. I won't say I wasn't. I got a little more de-stressed when we had that much time left on the clock and the timeouts that we had. But it's been a stressful week, so I can, every once in a while I will get stressed out about a game. But we're
last thing, just follow me on Twitter. I started a new podcast. It's called Q's NFL Takes. Last week I talked about why NFL quarterbacks are turning more into the Justin Fields of the world, more running style quarterbacks. And this week I am talking about the difference in grass and turf, which has been a very controversial topic recently. I'm going to try and tackle that. So you can find it wherever you get your other podcasts. And it's just me trying to have a conversation with everybody else.
There you go. Well, make sure you give Quentin a follow, give Justin a follow. Make sure you keep up with everything that's going on. Hey, by the way, everybody go out there and vote for the NFL Fan of the Year, which is Amy Patel.
Yeah, Dr. Amy Patel. She's a cool lady.
Yes, she is, and she was on our show, and she needs to win. She deserves to win, not just for the fact that she is an enormous fan of the Chiefs, but for what she does in the community and for everybody with her, with what she does in medicine. So, for anybody that doesn't know, she's a breast cancer um, doctor. She does everything. She's very involved in the community. She doesn't try to. How should I word this? She's not the type of doctor that you would expect, or I've seen, that is all about the money. She's all about helping people, and that I respect more than anything, especially with what I just went through with doctors, and not for myself, but and seeing the games that they play to make money with people, the games they play with people's lives to make money. She doesn't do that. She's a true hero in every sense of the word. So if everybody would give her a follow and make sure you vote for her NFL Fan of the Year, she deserves it. So she's nominated. She's got the Chiefs Fan of the Year right now, but she needs NFL Fan of the Year. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody joining, and we will talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.
Go Chiefs.
Thanks for joining.
Search his kingdom.